A-Days tomorrow. It's going to be different. Let's kind of hope it's still fun, though.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. I thank you everydayers for joining us every day. Thank you newbies for being here today. And thanks everybody for making this your first listen every day. We appreciate all you guys so very much. Jimmy, A-Day is tomorrow. Are you going?
Oh, yeah. I'll be there.
So there'll at least be one person.
I don't think, yeah. I don't, oh, two. The wife was going as well, so that's two. I don't think I've missed an A-Day since roughly 89. I mean, I don't think I've missed one. I possibly have, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Wait, I did miss one. Okay, I've missed one.
Was there one during COVID? I don't even remember.
There was definitely not. No, we didn't even have spring practice.
That's right.
Did not even. Funny story about that. I was in the football building, in the Malmore building, visiting a friend, and the day that spring practice got canceled for COVID. The day, and it was the same day. As a matter of fact, the Masters was canceled that day. When I was there in the football building, they got word that the Masters was canceled, and they're like, "Oh, this is just going to keep on filtering down." And then later that day, it was announced that there wouldn't be a spring practice at Alabama. Yeah, just crazy.
All right, so let's talk about some of the folks that you think everybody will be talking about after tomorrow. I'm going to tell you one name that keeps popping up everywhere to me, and that's Bray Hubbard. We haven't really even mentioned him recently, but I mean, I'm just telling you, this guy, it seems like he's just sort of sneaky in all these reports, and for whatever reason, we haven't talked about him enough, but I feel like he's about to take a huge step forward. And again, with this new format, which I'm not even 100% sure what it's going to be like, I don't know what he can do to show out. Right. But I feel like if there is an ability for somebody to show out, Bray Hubbard's going to be on that list.
Yeah, every time I used to say this about Bray, and now that he's a starter at Alabama, it's ridiculous for me to say it every time, so I'm just going to stop saying it now. But I said this every time until Bray became a starter, is every time I've watched Bray Hubbard play footballs, he's impressed me. I mean, every time I've watched him play football in some capacity, I'm like, I am just impressed by that guy. And then I think everybody saw once he became a starter after the Keon Sabb injury last season and Bray became an every down guy, what kind of player he is. And now he's had a full year to learn the new defense, to become comfortable as a starter and a significant player on the team. He's going to be even better. So it wouldn't shock me at all if Bray sort of stood out. If I'm going to pick a name, I'm going to go with the two primary quarterbacks in my mind, Ty Simpson and Keelan Russell. I think they will be the guys that are talked about in a positive fashion after Saturday. But to me, Luke, it's all about the format of this A-Day. I think that's going to be the story in terms of people that are there and watching. And what everyone is talking about afterwards is going to be the format. And there's going to be two takes, the minority take, which is going to be my take, and the majority take. The minority take for me is I enjoy watching practice. I like practice. I've got no problem even driving from South Alabama and having an 8-hour round trip to simply watch Alabama football practice. I would do that. I would do that often. I get a lot out of practice. I enjoy watching all the different position groups, do all the different drills. I like watching the coaches coach. I like it. But I do realize that the majority of people there will not. A lot of people that aren't a lot of people are going to be a little bored by it. I mean, I think because they like watching football games and scrimmages where you're actually doing football and not drills. And I do think that it's going to be, quote, unpopular with people there. That's what I think now. Not for me. I'm glad they're doing this. I'm glad they're opening it to the public. And I believe, and I have another interesting take on this. Caitlin DeBoer is by doing a day this way, by putting the team first, by doing what he believes is best for the team, even though it will be unpopular. That's a leader. That's a leader that does that, because somebody who's not a good leader goes, oh, the fans are going to kill me if I don't play a game. It's bad for the team. We don't get enough out of the practice. We only have one tight end. We can't really do this, but I got to put a game together because the fans are going to kill me if we don't. No. A leader says, hey, y'all might not like this, but it's best for the team. So this is what we're doing. And I appreciate his leadership on this. And again, maybe it's easy for me to say because it doesn't bother me that it's just going to be practice and not a game. But I do largely feel it will be unpopular. Someone asked, like, is this going to be on TV? Man, what a terrible event to put on TV practice. They don't even do that in the NFL. They don't even put full practices on TV in the NFL. So
well, they don't want you to. I mean, the NFL probably doesn't want you to, but just because everybody would spy on everybody.
Well, I mean, in the training camp, but yeah,
I'll say this: that if I were the SEC network or ESPN or whoever, I think somebody yesterday had on the Frozen Four. I'd be willing to bet an Alabama spring game would at least get the viewership of the Frozen Four. Maybe I'm nuts, even if the spring game is whatever this new format is. So I'm a little surprised this isn't televised to some degree, because, again, I just don't see – I mean, I see some of these other things on the SEC network or on ESPN. They had kickball on the other day, and I was thinking initially I was like, this will be cool. And I watched it for about 10 seconds and thought, this stinks. So I changed it immediately.
Now, there might be some televised version on SEC
Plus
down the road. I mean, it's not going to air live, not even on SEC Plus. But down the road, this could be being filmed and being put out there later this summer for all we know. But again, in terms of what I'm expecting as a format, this is practice. Just like
what time is the 8A game?
It's at noon.
Okay.
It's at noon. And I believe it's only for an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes, which is typical of their practices. Now, of course, there's going to be a big autograph event following the practice for Yay Alabama members. If you're a member of Yay Alabama, you've signed up to qualify to go on the field and get your autographs when it's over. That's going to be a big part of A-Day as well. The captains being enshrined on the sidewalk outside Denny Chimes at 10 o'clock is going to be, I'm sure, pretty well attended and be a thing, as I think all four captains are scheduled to be back. Malachi, Jalen Milroe, Tyler Booker, Deontay Lawson, who's still on the team. They'll be getting their handprints and cleat prints in the sidewalk. That'll be a big part. But the format, as I'm expecting, as I understand it, is going to be literally practice, just like what the media gets to cover for 15 minutes. This time, the media will get to cover it for the entirety of it, just like everyone else. But this is just practice.
Tax time, y'all. You know it is. You don't like it, but taxes, they need your attention. This is a message from our sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Taxes used to be waiting and wondering and worrying if you're going to get any money back, and then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. Now taxes are matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. Today, y'all. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. They don't mess around. All you can do is just sit back and relax and get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now this is taxes. Get an expert on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/ Guarantees. Of course, another position group everybody's going to be looking at is the receiver room.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bernard came out and said he thinks Alabama's got the best receiver room in the country. Now, I'm a Bammer. I'm a homer. I'm gumped up as you can be. I would say it's close, but my guess would probably be Ohio State's is probably a little better. But I do think Alabama's got a top 3, top 5 receiver room, no doubt in my mind. When you got Ryan, you start off with Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, and what I know about Isaiah Horton, and then when you mix in Latsier Brooks and Cole Adams and Derek Meadows and Jalen Hale and Rico Scott and Jalen Mbakwe, those are some dudes out there now. Maybe not so much experience-wise, but what do you of the wide receivers? Now, first of all, I assume Ryan Williams is not going to be a huge participant.
I would think in practice he likely is because most of what they do in practice, and there'll be a lot of people that will be being introduced to an Alabama practice for the first time, but most of what they do in practice, the wide receivers are not contacted. There's not, they're not tackled. They're not hit. So I believe Ryan will participate in all that. I'm guessing. Now, part of that's a guess. I'm guessing that. Now, there will be periods in practice. They constantly change every 8, every 10 minutes. They change what they're doing. They blow a horn and then they change the drill that they're doing. I do believe, I'm guessing again, but I'm guessing that there will be some 11-on-11 football that's played during this because they do that in practice when they're in full pads. It's a normal thing that at some point they do some 11-on-11 work. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ryan not participating in that because that involves getting hit, getting tackled. It's pretty physical. Ryan may not participate in that. They may hold him out of that as they would anybody who's a little banged up because there's just no reason to risk it for somebody who's a little banged up or someone that you already, they know the offense, you know what they can do. You just don't want to risk them getting hurt on the final practice of spring. So I think we'll see Ryan.
That's a great point. Let me tell you something. If Ryan Williams went out there and did something and got hurt on the final day of practice, the world would blame Caitlin DeBoer, whether it's justified or not. And so I'm with you on that. Now, I'm also a big believer. Again, let me tell you, I'm going to give a shout out to my girls' soccer team last night. I coached them by myself. I usually have a co-coach, and then we got some girls from Sanford to come help us. But it was just me last night. So I was running these drills. I don't know nothing about soccer. But our best goalie and another girl, we were doing a drill where like it's first one to the ball kind of thing, like you do in basketball sometimes. And they ran into each other. And my goalie, who's awesome, she got a shiner, 9-year-old. I'm talking about an Easter egg right here. And when they got it, they cried a little bit, which I understood. I would have too. And I was like, do y'all?
Yeah, you're 50.
I was like, do y'all want to keep going? They were like, I was like, do y'all want to sit out? They said, no, we want to keep going. And I was like, I'm so proud of y'all right now. But my point was, all I could think for a minute was, oh God, everybody's going to blame me because we're about to lose everything if CC is out. Yeah. Because she is the goalie of the year. Mm-hmm. And like, I was just doing a random drill because I'm out there by myself trying to figure out what to do. And I was like, oh God, I'm going to be in trouble. Just like Caitlin DeBoer would be in trouble if Ryan Williams got it.
Well, now you realize how unfair that particular coaching world is when all you're trying to do is make the team better. And then
the team better. That's right.
Yeah, if an anvil drops out of the sky, Roadrunner Coyote style, and hits Ryan, during this last practice, I mean, then he's injured. Yeah, DeBoer would definitely hear about that. So they're going to be careful about, best they can. But at the same time, you got to practice and get better. And football is a sport where even non-contact, you can, suffer an injury. Alabama is a pretty injured, banged-up football team right now. That's part of the reason that there's not going to be an 8-day game. It's the team has a lot of guys that are either on the shelf or a little banged up. But the good news is I am unaware of any player on the team that is not scheduled to be 100% on the day of fall camp, which I believe is going to be July 31st, Thursday, July 31st, I think is the likely day that happens. I think 100% of the team will be 100% for the start of fall camp based on the situation as of now, unless somebody gets hurt, in the final practice. But I'm looking forward to fan reaction to it. I hope everyone has a good time. I think there'll be a lot of attention on the quarterbacks because when you go to practice, I'm interested in all of it, but I can understand how some fans will get a little bored watching the running backs do a drill where they're working on blitz pickup. That's what they're working on. And then maybe linebackers are working on getting off blocks, and maybe corners are working on jamming guys at the line of scrimmage. So they're doing drills about all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's going to bore some people. But what's generally not boring is the quarterbacks who are throwing to targets, throwing to wide receivers. And that's going to be something everyone watches because I think that's going to be a little more interesting to people. So I do think, you brought up the wide receiver room before. I think quarterbacks throwing to receivers is going to get the most eyeballs because that's going to entertain people more than watching, tight ends do, route drills and blocking drills and watching the offensive line slam into the equipment. I think that's gonna bore some people. It won't me, but I'm a football nerd.
Well, I think the most people will be talking about Isaiah Horton and Latzir Brooks after this. I really do. Now, I do want to mention some of the guys coming in for visits. I'm Derek Zammet. He's coming in, and it's his first trip to the Capstone. He's going to be announcing pretty soon. It sure feels like Alabama. Titan Davis will be here from St. Louis. What a name for a defensive lineman. I mean, that'd be a horrible name for a punter, but what a name for a defensive lineman.
He's good, too. I mean, he's a legit thing, Titan Davis.
Sincere Johnson, who we talked about the other day on the
Ruben.
podcast. Yep, Ruben.
We mentioned Ruben. Sincere Ruben Foster Johnson.
Jonaz Walton, a running back with Xavier Crowell.
You ever seen that picture of that kid, Jonaz Walton, the running back?
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. He's
out of Central Casting. I mean, he's a guy that you just look at the picture and go, running back.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? He is right out of Central Casting.
Some guys, and I mean, there's several examples of this. They look older because they look older in the face a little bit. Like Aiden Sherrill looks a little bit like that. Like he looks older in the face. Some dudes look a little older because their body is so mature. You're like, why does he look like how old Chad Baker Mazzara is? That's Jonaz Walton.
Some of these athletes, I'd even say most of them at this level, most athletes at this level, they do mature quicker than the standard male that's that age, and they a lot of them look older.
It's ridiculous. Jaquez Wilkes may not be in. Look, he visited Auburn the other day. Auburn's also got their A-Day. I mean, I'll say this: if he doesn't show up, I mean, I think we just say, okay, Jaquez Wilkes isn't going to be a part of this class.
He's yet to come to Alabama. Alabama's recruiting him. There's consistent communication. Tim Watts talked about this at BOL. There is consistent communication there, but he has been to Auburn and has not been to Alabama. So I think Luke's right. I think that's going to be a clue. Where is Jaquez Wilkes tomorrow? Is he in Tuscaloosa or Auburn? Do you know, Luke? Do you know, is Auburn's A-Day format? Are they playing a game?
I think it's funky too. I think theirs was funky last year, which again, I mean,
well, Alabama was offense versus defense last year and not typical crimson white. Is that what Auburn's?
Yeah. No, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, honestly, I've quit paying attention to because if it's not just going to be a spring game, I'm sort of like, I mean, I'm counting on you. You're going. I can't go. I got to go coach a soccer game. But I'm counting on you to give us like eyeball reports, and I'll read everything I can read. But I mean, it's not like it used to be where even you had to manage expectations or even like manage what you saw, because it's just different when it's your guys against your guys. But I used to be able to glean something from various A-days because it really was kind of like a game, but not really. Now I don't even know what. I mean, this is like it's almost like going to the carnival. Like who can hit the target? Remember what is it? The All-Pro game in the NFL where they try and hit targets. The big targets that move around and stuff. I mean, I don't even know what this thing's going to be.
Here's one final point I want to make about this. Ole Miss got a lot of attention last year. Ole Miss was one of the first to say, because they did this last year, we're not playing a game, but everybody's coming and Grove Bowl or whatever the heck they call it. We're going to have skills competition. The dude that eats all the hot dogs in the hot dog contest, he's going to be here eating hot dogs. And the players are going to have a dunk contest, and we'll do some 7-on-7 flag football, play some flag football, might put some coaches out there, some alum out there. It's just going to be this fun festival. And it was on TV. The SEC network aired it along with the other spring games. And it got kind of lauded as, hey, this is unique and this is fun. But you know what? Caitlin DeBoer is a little smarter than that. I know what Caitlin DeBoer said. That's a wasted practice. You only get 15 practices. How did that make
how did eating hot dogs help you?
How did Ole Miss's team improve as a team with the format being such as that? Now, it's fun for the fans. That's more fun, I think, for fans than watching practice. But DeBoer's like, we only get 15 of these things, and we're going to use every one of them to improve our football team, and I appreciate that.
One other guy that'll be in is Cedarian Morgan from right here in Alexander City. I'm just now reading this. Why I didn't know it, I don't know. This is going to be his first trip to Bama this spring. He returned for an official visit June 20th through 22nd and is scheduled to announce a decision July 2nd. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Okay. I mean, I love it. I hope it's right because I'm not
surprised. Most kids commit in the summertime these days, but Xavier Crowell announced the other day he's going to announce his decision
December 31st. There's no way he's waiting that long.
Well, no, I agree. No way he's going to wait that long. And that's fascinating on a number of things. First of all, signing day is like 10 days before that. So why are you committing between the early signing day and the late signing day? And secondly, I'm no longer, at BOL, as all of y'all know, and I'm no longer working as part of the recruiting industry. But I can't tell you how much people who work in the recruiting industry love holiday commitments because they're with their families.
Yeah.
And then you get the text, big commitments happening in about 30 minutes. So go to work.
Yeah. I know that's the popular thing for you to say. I know
are over at your house for the barbecue, and you're like, time out. I have to go to work.
Society says you have to say it that way. Yeah. If you've ever been with anybody's family, if somebody there are times I've been with my family and I go, I don't know if you're up there, Superman, but if you could, please get a work call from me so I can get the heck out of here. All right, I'm going to drop a few basketball nuggets here. Jarin Stevenson in the portal. Look, it was met with 65% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was like most people were like, yeah, okay, I'm down with it. I think the staff liked Jarin Stevenson. I do think Jarin Stevenson probably is going to get a little more money than he could at Alabama than at a place like NC State or North Carolina, which is where most people think he ends up. I'm fine with that. I appreciate what he did. I remember some of his bigger games. But at the same time, I think Alabama can improve. They may be able to improve with one of the freshmen coming in, not necessarily even a portal guy. That being said, I like having continuity. He did know the offense. Sometimes he played like he didn't, but he did know it. And I, for one, am not ecstatic he's leaving. There are some people listening to this podcast who are like, praise the Lord. I'm not that way, but I'm not devastated.
Yeah, I'm a little bit like that. I mean, I think there's two or three ways to look at it. I mean, I'm with you. In my perfect world, Jarin Stevenson is still with the basketball team at Alabama and finishes his career at Alabama. If I got to draw it up, I will say, Jarin was a reclassified player, and as I say all the time on the show, Most kids who reclassify make a terrible mistake. Most kids are not Ryan Williams. Even really good prospects are not Ryan Williams, and most kids that reclassify should not have. And so he's young. I think Jarin Stevenson will be a really good player in his junior and senior year and be really good. And the shame of it is, at the height of Jarin Stevenson's collegiate success won't be at Alabama. It will be somewhere else. And that saddens me a little bit, because Alabama put in the work to help develop him, and it's going to pay off for someone else. But on the positive side, I think Alabama will easily replace Jarin Stevenson's production in terms of his minutes and the quality of basketball he played during those minutes in his 2 years at Alabama. I think Alabama replaces that and replaces it somewhat easily. So everyone is like, well, I'm glad he's gone, and that sort of take. I'm not agreeing with that, but I do agree with the notion that Alabama will easily replace those minutes, those minutes that he played and the points on the rebound. Alabama will replace that and not miss the Jarin Stevenson of year 1 and year 2. I'll just say that I think the Jarin Stevenson we see in year 3 and year 4 is going to look completely different now that he's past the reclassification stuff.
Yeah.
College age, and has experience, and is probably a little more comfortable back home, and a bigger focus, getting more minutes and a bigger focus of things. Because at Alabama, you have so many good players. He wasn't going to be the focus. He might be, at Chapel Hill or in Raleigh at NC State, whichever one he ends up going to, as the rumor. But
I think that's dangerous for wherever he goes if he's the focus. Not because he's not talented. He's very talented, but the miscues. Now, again, chalk that up to reclassification if you want to. I'm right there with you. And if he had stayed at Alabama, that's exactly what I would do. And I'm not trying to dog him because he's not at Alabama. I think I can just be more honest now that he's not at Alabama, is my thing. So
yeah, and that way as well. And I was disappointed. I thought Jarin would be better than he was. I thought so. I thought in year 1 he would be better, and I thought in year 2 he would be better than he was, because there's so much potential there. But that potential is largely unfulfilled. It probably will be. A mistake that I think a lot of people make, whether it's basketball or football, is they think that they are what they are. Well, we've seen him and he's no good. These kids improve most kids improve year to year. I'll give you a good example. LeBaron Philon. I'm convinced of this. If Philon returns to Alabama instead of the NBA, I think he may be the most improved player in the whole league.
I think he's All-American.
I think Philon goes from he's helping us to the show.
He's leading us.
Year 2. And that's what I mean by these guys. They get better year to year. And I think Philon's on that developmental arc of being great quickly. Whereas with Jarin, it's taken a little more time. But Jarin's going to be a better player in year 3 and year 4 than he was in year 1 and year 2.
One more basketball note. Alabama, Arizona, the date is set in Birmingham, December 13th. Brandon Berry's just committed to Arizona. Alabama was on his short list. It ended up not working out. Jaleel Bethea probably took that spot because I think Alabama was in a posture of not feeling great about his commitment and can't wait around. I mean,
Right.
So I think that's going to be what a matchup. Now, also on that same line of thinking, Nate Oates did make a comment the other day that maybe I need to tone back the schedule a hair. I don't know. I mean, he said some people were tired. I mean, maybe we were tired, but we made it to 2 straight Elite Eights and a Final Four, and maybe he's looking at it from I don't want to lose. With the Final Four year, we lost 12 games, and last year we lost 9 games, and maybe he's looking at it like, hey, I want to have one of those 30-6s, 32-4s. I mean, maybe something like that. And okay, so be it. But I'm going to tell you something. I wouldn't mind if he cuts back 1 game, but I don't want to cut back a lot of our games. I mean, we still have Purdue next year in Tuscaloosa. We got Illinois in Chicago. We got Arizona now in Birmingham. We got that Players Era tournament, and then we'll have the ACC Challenge. And my guess is it'll be somebody like a Duke or a Louisville or somebody like that. At least I hope it is. And because I think we'll be one of the top teams, and I think they'll want to put top on top. And so that's probably enough. I think where we can scale back is not necessarily the upper echelon games. Don't play a Will Wade McNeese State team.
Yeah, that's a great point. The mid majors like Creighton, the Creightons and the McNeeses and mid majors.
I'm done with Creighton.
Who are good? They're going to make you play. You're going to play a 40-minute basketball game against those guys. So yeah, Alabama can afford to scale back a little bit because the schedule's been so arduous. So we'll see. I have a hard time believing Nate's going to go from playing the toughest schedule in the country to the number 13 schedule in the SEC. I don't think that's Nate's DNA. I think there's a balance, and he's probably searching for that balance.
Well, and I also think that Greg Sankey and the like are probably like, we just got 14 of 16 teams in the tournament, so nobody mess with a thing.
Yeah, nobody changed too much.
All right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow after A-Day with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.